coming down.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's just start dropping. He's not second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening and welcome to the Radical Sim Racing Endurance for the final round, round 11 from the Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit. 154 corners that these 13 cars on track have got to get through all together. I am James Parfitt, and in the booth with me, I've got Rob Slider with me to this evening here, guiding us through all the absolute epic action we are going to have. Don't forget, guys, that these has come to an end of what was an absolute outstanding season of racing. We can bring you up the championship standings currently as they are at this moment in time, and as you can see here, some of the championships are already wrapped up. You can see in the pros, Rudolf Nagel has won the championship and Mike Busson in second and Kettle Larson in third. Now that is a battle that we will keep an eye on as the race goes on between Kettle Larson and Mike Busson for that second place. But Rudolf Nagel, congratulations to him. He has won the pros. Now in the AMs, we've got Paul LeMay, who's also taken the championship win as well. He cannot be caught. So Paul LeMay there is another winner of one of the championships that has taken place this evening. All done and dusted. Now in the team standings, Team Redline are on top currently on 1,033, and with no representatives of Simracing, it is looking like Team Redline have wrapped up the Pro Championship here as well. Now in the AMs, it's a little bit of a different story. Basically, Rad Sport Sim Racing of Gary Truby and David G would need a 1-2, and Michael LeMay, who's here, would not finish. Then they may be able to wrap up the AM Championship, but at the moment it's two brothers racing there on 580 points. Paul LeMay is not here this evening. Unfortunately, Paul is off with the dreaded pandemic that has hit the world, and unfortunately he is not able to attend this race. So good luck to Paul LeMay. I hope everything goes well. You get well soon. Hope the wife and kids are well as well, because they've got it unfortunately at the same time. But I think you've heard my voice long enough, and it's time to bring in Rob Slider into the booth. Rob, good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you this evening?
I am doing pretty well, thanks, James. It is a pleasure to be here tonight, and what a track to come into. The Nürburgring Nordschleife, like you said, 156 corners, and for 90 minutes, these drivers are doing close to 6 minutes, just over 6 minutes a lap. After 90 minutes, these drivers are going to do over 2,000 turns into this race, so it is really going to be an endurance race for the ages. 13 drivers on the grid at the moment, and it is going to be something to watch, and I'm glad to be here with you. And I'm just looking forward to seeing who's going to be fast and where they're going to be fast with this many this many corners. That gives a lot of give and take. You could be good in one spot and slow in another where other people can catch you. So it's going to be a very interesting track, very long, just over 6 kilometers, I believe it was. What a track.
Yeah, it's been a complete circuit that people are either love or hate here. There are the full track lengths on, you can see on your screen currently at the moment, 20.64 kilometers, 24 degrees track temperature, and at an altitude of 621 meters. But with the high curbs, the tricky corners, and as we've seen previously, some very, very tough corners. It's going to be, as Rob said, one who can survive till the end. I think that is going to be the way it goes here at the Nordschleife. It is going to be a survival of the fittest. So welcome in Phil across the pond, or Welcome in Toxic Munchkin as well. And Ivan Bramer, welcome in to you. Hope your game holds up while you're racing and you don't get another crash in the middle, because that will be somewhat disastrous. So hopefully from there, mate, you will be able to survive. You know, Rob, it's difficult anyway on a normal circuit, but this circuit of 154 corners, it's even more trickier, isn't it? Because they've just got so much going on at any one point in this circuit. You know, the track map is on your screen on the right hand side. You can see it there. To be honest, it looks like a drawing my daughter's drawn. You know what I mean? There's no ebb and flow, there's nothing to it. It's just one squiggle into the next one.
And that is sometimes the hardest part about coming to a place like this is, you know, it's fairly easy to remember places like Spa or Monaco because they're so definitive. There's so many landmarks and different things that will show you different markers around the track to know where you're at. Whereas here, it's just hills and trees and curbs and grass, and it really could throw you off and maybe put you off in a spot where you're running a little bit slower than you want to, because you don't really know what's coming up until you get to a certain spot and you're like, okay, now I know where I'm at because I've hit this straightaway or I've hit this certain corner. Then you can kind of get your bearings back. So I'd look to see some people kind of maybe get lost in the forest here today.
Yeah, it's going to be lost in the forest. They're going to be lost. They're going to be like Rosalind, Little Red Riding Hood, out in the forest. Let's hope the big bad wolf don't come and get them, or the barriers don't eat them. That would be absolutely disastrous, because they are going to be tough. Now, as you can see from the screen on the left-hand side, guys, quali has been extended to 20 minutes. Now, during that period of time, they've got to do an out lap and possibly 3 laps, which they're not going to get in. They may get, well, 4 laps, sorry. They may get 3 in, but they're definitely not going to get 4 in. So they have got 4 laps or 20 minutes. I think it's going to be more than 20 minutes. If they are on their final lap and the qualifying time runs out, they will not get to complete it. So hopefully, there we go, they should be able to get to the end without any issues there as well. Phil, thanks so much for your input. I am trying to adjust levels as we talk, and hopefully that should be a little bit easier there as well on the ear, and hopefully I'm not distorting too much. But David Rollison is currently out on track. Now he is coming up onto the cotton board. He goes, which is this long straightaway that basically runs all the way down into the Arenberg Forest, the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. And then it's going to be a tough one. Rob, have you ever driven the Nordschleife before?
I believe when I first got into iRacing and then into the stuff, I had to race a Nordschleife small event, and I went and tried driving it. But like I said, I got lost in the woods there. With so many corners and ups and downs, if you've never really seen it or have spent time at it, or even, you know, on other games growing up running an Nordschleife, then you don't really know where you're going. It's such a big place. 20 kilometers. That's insane for a racetrack for me.
Yeah, it is. It is full concentration as well for them 6 minutes. So now, I've driven around here in the Radical this week, and I've driven around here in other cars as well. And to be honest, none of them are really easy to drive around here. These high curbs will bite you as soon as look at you. They're almost like a lion. They just, if you're not careful, they just come out and decide that they want to eat you at any one point. So you have to really try and stay off them as well. They do have little runoffs on the right hand side there in that last corner. You saw that little cobble bit of pavement, but once you're on there as well, it's almost like a magnet. It just seems to suck you in and put you against the barrier. So I think from that point of view, a lot of people here for 90 minutes have just got to try and survive, and I think that was what it was in the official race I did. It was just literally surviving. Now, unfortunately, it didn't go well for me. I did hit one of them cobble bits there on the left there and stick it into the wall, and unfortunately I lost second place through that because my wheels were pointed in completely the opposite direction. But you know, hey, I don't declare to be a driver, and I'm sure Rob spends more time in the booth as well than he does on the racetrack, so neither of us up here can really say that we've mastered this circuit. As I say, I've just driven it quite a few times, but it's never really a circuit I've mastered, Rob, to be honest.
This circuit is not really one I mastered, but I will say I do spend a lot more time in a race car in the sim than I do in the booth, it is definitely a big passion of mine. And when I look at these 19 minutes these drivers have, they basically have 3 laps. Usually when you're in a road course race like this, or you got a couple minutes a lap, which is fine, but you usually have 5-6 laps in a 10-minute session to be able to put down a lap time. And now they're down to 3 minutes on such a large track with so many corners, with so many opportunities to make a mistake. It's very, very critical that these drivers do not make a mistake or go off. They go off track one time, they make one little mistake, that lap's invalidated. Now they only have 1, maybe 2 laps to get it done. Not to mention, if on one of these corners they make a mistake, spin out, and they have to try to restart their qualifying from their pit lane, they might have a chance to get 1 more lap in. So it's very, very critical for these drivers to try to get the track position up front and push their cars, so that way they have that track position at the start of this endurance race, but also not to push themselves too far to cause a mistake to really ruin their qualifying effort here today.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. If they now, like when we come into this lower area of 12 minutes, they are literally gonna, well, they're not even gonna get a lap, because if they're doing 16s, I think we saw in practice, that's 12 minutes 32. So if they go below 12 minutes 32 and crash it, they're done. They're out. They're not going to get a lap in, because they've got an out lap of over 6.5 minutes, and then they've got to do another lap of 6:20. It's just not going to happen. They are going to end up having to basically not do a lap, just sit at the back, because that's the nature of this circuit with the times that we're talking about, isn't it? It's almost like you need half an hour of quali to be able to get a good bunch of laps in to get used to the circuit.
I think I just saw Mick Hutchinson having complete purple sectors. He looks like he is on one flying lap right now. Just saw him pop off the screen, all purple sectors for Mick Hutchinson. So he might be on a steamer currently. He's got his first lap in there. Yeah. And he's quite far on the board at the moment, but he was moving.
Yeah, he's just done his out lap and is now on his first lap. Now that is, as we know, John McHutchinson, the Scotsman, who is generally quick and will be quick at any race circuit. So, yeah, I'm expecting John to absolutely go out and smash this as well. George Gonzaga in chat. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, George. Hope you're well. Toxic there. Tried here in the Porsche Cup. Fixed. Was hard work and could only manage 8:45s. Well, it was at the full circuit, including the stadium, though, isn't it? Because if that was the point, then, 8:45 is not a bad time. And Phil, this is my least favourite track on iRacing. See, this is, if you want to gain IR or SR, right, this is probably the best track. Because if you start from the pits, give it about 30 seconds, everybody goes hurtling down in turn 1, as we see Eamon Brayman there just do a 6:19, and then David Walters has just gone a 6:18. So if you sit in the pits, let everybody rush down this part of the track, right? We'll stay with David Walters. They don't get through here without crashing, so that's very rare. And then they come down into the first left-hander, which they're going to go on the brakes now, left, and then they got to right. And that's where they crash again. So if you give them about 30 seconds, Rob, you can gain IR and SR easy, because you just poodle off around them as they're all going back to the pits. It's an amazing circuit for that.
You just have to make sure the rest of the 5.5 minutes of the lap, you do not make a mistake and fall back into that crowd, because that's when it starts to get crazy. The official races, I've somewhat hung up my pedals from official races. When COVID kind of happened, we got that rookie rush with a bunch of people coming in because there's nothing else to do, and I think I kind of got a little burnt out on some official races. But when you get leagues like this where you get to drive with drivers with such high skill levels that are all respectful of each other, and you know what to expect from them every single week and every single race, it becomes a lot of fun, and it becomes a real good competition. And when you get to know them, and and you're in a Discord or a group with them, you really get to know them and enjoy it. So that is where more my focus is those league races, just like these guys out here. I've seen the Radical Sim racing here, and these guys really know how to race each other clean, race each other hard, and put on a good show for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things as well, is obviously, you know, to be able to race in a way that is completely respectful, and these guys do it. You know, you obviously, as you know, commentate on the Americas series. I do the European Pros and Ams, and to be honest, the things that happen are most of the time completely accidental. There's never really it's not like an official where somebody will purposely go and block you, or somebody purposely will go and get in the way, or, you know, because down here it is a very tight circuit, guys. And I think people look at the Nords and think, oh, there's 154 corners. It's loads. You've got loads of stuff, but you haven't. The track is so narrow, and if somebody parks their car in the middle of the track, you ain't getting through. Love nor money. It's not happening. You're not getting through. It's so difficult to pass. They need complete cooperation from the people in front as well. And there's certain times on here where you can just end up blocking somebody, and you're not going to make it, you know, basically through this part of the circuit where McHutchinson is now. You're not going to make that overtake until you get on to the Dottinger Straight. So there's not many places to overtake, Rob. I think that's probably where I'm going. The track is so tight and so close together that they do need to be very sensible in what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's where the track position really comes in, and really needing to get a good lap here, because you may be slower than somebody most of the time, but with the way the track is here, it's going to take them a good while to set it up, or there can be dire consequences. And especially in a race that's 90 minutes long like this, you really got to minimize those mistakes. So getting a good track position at the start, the start of the race, when lights go out, that's going to be one spot you really want to look out for drivers. Like you said, that first couple turns, they're going to want to get that track position because they know it's going to be hard to pass. It's gonna be real interesting. With only 9 minutes and change left now in qualifying. We've got two drivers that have hung it up, Damian G and Stephen Place, off the track. So they're forfeiting the rest of their qualifying time because they're not going to get that lap in, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think the ones that have managed to get a lap in, Paul Clark's got a lap in, but did have an incident after that. Michael LeMay didn't get a lap in, but he is out on track. I'm keeping an eye on John McHutchison. You can see from the bottom left, he's literally near enough purples across the board here. He's gone quicker from his own time in sector 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is purple, 5 is yellow, 6, 7 and 8 is purple, and he's got 9 and 10 to go. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what McHutchison does here. David Walters has got the first 2 sectors purple, and then he's got the next lot green, so it's going to be close here as well. Good evening, Mike Buson. Good evening, hope you're well. You're not on track this evening. Where are you? Why are you not on track, Mike? How bizarre. Battling for second in the championship when Kettle Larson's in pole currently at the moment. What is McHutchison going to go do? He's done it by 3 seconds.
Oh man, that I was wondering if he may have had an off track or something, because sometimes you'll see that bunch of purple sectors, but it doesn't really count if they had an off track or not. And I'm like, man, I'm really hoping this is not off track, because that'd be really upsetting. In 3 seconds, 3.4 seconds. What a lap from McHutchison.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying. I told you, the Scotsman is naturally quick on any track we seem to put him at in the Radical. It's incredible. But we've got David Walters here. He's got some greens, he's got purples, he's got yellows. Let's see how he's going to go now as he goes onto the Dottinger there, the long straightaway at the back side of the circuit. Tucks it there, the Flying Scotsman. Yes, John McHutchison, in reference to the Flying Scotsman train. If you haven't seen it, you should just Google it if you haven't seen what the Flying Scotsman looks like. It's a big old blue steam engine with big funnel on the front chimney, and then it just literally puffs smoke out. It's a very old style train. And if you haven't, just Google it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Rob, have you seen the Flying Scotsman before?
I have not. I've heard of the Flying Dutchman, but I've never heard of the Flying Scotsman. That is absolutely for sure. But if you actually look at the time on the clock, we are pushing 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in qualifying, which means if these drivers do not get to the line in the next 10 to 15 seconds, their next lap is not going to happen, as we see Walters Parkett, after picking up second place with 6:14.026, just a second and a half off the top pace of McHutchison.
Yeah, Kettle Larson's on a 6:16. He's not going to get another lap in. He's going to cut across the line round about 6:03 remaining, if I'm not mistaken. It's 5, 4, 3. The line is just there at the beginning. He's not going to make it and didn't improve. He's still in 3rd place. So there we go. Another man that's not going to make his next lap is Paul Clark. He is going to be coming across the line, but he's not going to get another one in. John McCutcheon is going to get another one in and is improving. So that's always good. Michael LeMay has gone on a 6:23.506. Stefan Mellis on a 6:27.589. Guy Robinson 6:28.070. Gary Truby, Damien Jean, Stephen Place, no time. That's no surprise for Stephen Place at all. He doesn't always qualify, and if he does, he normally sits at the back and then waits for everybody to go and crash. So fair play to Stephen Place. He does it every single race, and I think, to be honest, he probably does it in the Americas series as well, Rob. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I don't think I've actually really paid attention to who doesn't really put in a lap time. Usually Stephen Place is moving up through the field and in the middle of the field and making moves. So I guess I never really paid attention to where he always started. But it is always good to see him on track. He is a very quick driver. He's very respectful and he's smart. He doesn't make any moves that he shouldn't be doing that could cause a problem, and it usually leads to a pretty decent finishing spot. With the team Redline taking the Drivers' Championship, I believe it was, or they took second actually, because Lucas Vieira ended up taking that championship with On Wheels TV. But it was great for the Americas, the Pro-Ams, and it's good to see him here in this race again, starting 13th. So he's got a little bit of work to do in the 90 minutes, but if he hangs back a little bit, like you said, who knows what carnage he'll get past.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, the words that you said there as well, he always ends up making his way through the order, tells me that Stephen Place always does what he does anyway. So he always starts near the back of the grid and starts moving his way through, and Nords is not going to be any different, I think. Mike, Nords just isn't my thing. Well, Mike, I'm disappointed in you. Very disappointed in you there as well. But with 3.5 minutes remaining, John McCutcheon is going to finish his lap. Kettle Larson, no. Paul Clark, no. Stefan Mellis, whereabouts are you? You're at the beginning. You're not going to get yours done either. Where is Guy Robinson? He's sat in the pit. So it's all on John McCutcheon currently at the moment as well, as he's coming around the backside of the circuit. He's just gone round S-curve before he goes on to the Dottinger at the end of this left-right wiggle there as well. So there we go. Toxic, bring on the green hell. Absolutely. And you're going to have an absolutely amazing race here with 3.5 minutes on the clock. 13 drivers rushing around here, 154 corners, curbs that will eat you and put you into the wall if you're not careful. Full concentration needed. What more can we expect, Rob? Can we expect any more tonight, Rob?
It's going to be a great race. Let me say that. I haven't watched too much from here from the Nordschleife, but I have watched these drivers in these radical cars, and they are so much fun around each other. So they're really light. They're really maneuverable. They got some power. If anything, we're going to see a show. I'm just kind of wondering here what Hutchinson's going to do. He's got 5 purple sectors. He's already at a second over top of the rest of the field. I feel like he might put down a 6:11 in this lap.
Oh, okay. We got a couple of yellows, a green, and 4 purples. Is he going to do this 11, or is it? What do we reckon, Rob? 6:12.5. That's what I'm going for. What's your time you're going to put on the board?
I'm gonna say 6:11.9.
Okay, so 6:12.5 from me, 6:11.9 from Rob. Let's see what we're going to do here as he's coming around the final part of this circuit. He's going through Tiergarten now. He's going to come across the start-finish line. Don't forget the start-finish line is just after this corner. It's about here, give or take. What's he going to do? 6:11.6! Oh!
He was really moving. I seen the 6:11 in practice, and I was thinking he might be able to do it in the qualifying. And with 5 purple sectors there, almost half the track in the purple, I knew he was gonna put down a great lap, which he really did. With a 6:11, 6:8.9. Walter's there in second with a 6:14.026, 2.5 seconds faster than Walter's there in second place.
Is he going to be caught? If he gets out in front and gets the run, he's going to be done, right? 3 seconds per lap, 6.5 minute lap, 90 minutes on the clock. he's going to be flying. At some point, I reckon he could end up, if he stays like that and keeps it clean, he'll have practically a pit stop in front of the guys in front there as well. So I don't know who's going to catch McCutcheon. I'm hoping the barriers don't catch him out or the curbs don't catch him out, because I'll tell you what, he is literally motored. That Scotsman in that SR10 is absolutely flying along nicely. We've got 45 seconds left of qualifying before we go into this 90-minute race. So, guys, all I can say, as I normally do, get your drinks, get your popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy some absolute epic racing that we're going to have here as well. And it is looking like John McCutcheon is absolutely flying. Don't forget, guys, if you are here for the first time, please give the video a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bells for notifications, because that would be absolutely amazing. We are currently on 699. We are one away from the 700. So if you're not subscribed already, please do so. Take us over that 700 mark, because that would be absolutely incredible here on the JBB YouTube channel. So right, qualifying is just about done. The results are up. Let's bring you up the grid here this evening and show you what's going to happen. As we all know, as we saw, John McCutcheon is in pole there on a 6:11.689, 2.3 seconds faster than David Walters. Then Kettle Larson in third, Paul Clark in fourth, Ewan Bramer in fifth. That's the pros. In David Rolliston in the AMS, there is on in sixth place, Dennis Kiriakopoulos in seventh, Michael LeMay eighth, Guy Robinson, Stefan Mellis, is in ninth, Guy Robinson 10th, Stephen Place 11th, Damien G down in 12th, and Gary Truby in 13th place. So 13 cars on track, ready to race around this very difficult circuit here this evening. 154 corners of pure epic racing, and John McCutcheon is 3 seconds quicker than anyone else at the moment. Apple strudel and custard at the ready while I watch. Lovely, Toxic. Put ice cream in that as well, mate. Trust me, you won't ever regret it. Vanilla ice cream with custard and apple strudel or apple pie, depending on what you want. But we're just waiting for Stefan Mellis to get onto the track, and then we are going to be green. We are going to be away. We're going to fly off that line down into turn one, and here we go. Mellis is on the track, so let's see how this one pans out. The lights are coming on. Wow, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's a jump start by David Walters. Oh, David Walters is done already. Jump start by David Walters. He's going to have a stop and go. He hasn't got anywhere. He's shut off the line in first place, and he absolutely jumped the start. And if I talk to David Walters, he's going to tell me his clutch failed and he let go of it too early. But at the moment, he is out in front, but he will have a stop and go penalty. It just depends on how long that stop and go is. So David Walters, John McCutcheon, Kettle Larson, Paul Clark, Gary Truby past Damien G, Michael LeMay past Stefan Mellis. That is what's happening currently at the moment. They've already got a second gap back to Paul Clark, but Rob, everybody made it through cleanly. That's the important thing.
Yeah, and that wasn't just a little jump start. That was a fairly big jump start by Walters. So I don't know if the excitement of this racetrack and what's to come in that 90 minutes just got to him, or if it really was a failure. But that was almost a full second before the lights even went out. And McCutcheon's right on his tail, so he didn't get much of a jump on McCutcheon. And with that pass-through penalty that's going to be coming, that's going to hurt him. But in his defense, he's got 90 minutes left. A lot of people could be making mistakes, which could bring him up fighting for the middle spot or the midfield of the championship. He just really needs a few drivers to make a mistake, and it could help him at least salvage something out of today if he doesn't make any more mistakes in the rest of this race.
Do you know the interesting thing, right? With any stop and go within iRacing, you've generally got 3 laps to take it. Now, David Walters is faster than some of the guys behind. So if he does them 3 laps, takes it on the end of the 3rd lap, he might be, faster, further enough ahead where he might not actually lose a position. Because if he can get that 30, 40 second stop go, whatever it's going to be, he might still come out in the same place because he's got 3 laps to take a penalty in iRacing. And these are long laps, Rob.
I mean, if that would have been the case, I think I would have jumped right as the lights started coming on. Because you got 18 minutes to get, 10 or 20 seconds, whatever it is, in front of the person behind you. Well, if they're not leaving for 10 seconds, it's kind of easy to do. But it was, I'm sure he did not mean to jump that start because nobody wants to go doing a stop and go. But maybe he might get lucky with the way the field is tonight that it won't send him all the way to the back, and he'll just have to battle up through a little bit of the field. As we see a lockup right there. I'm not sure if the just got into the wall or not, but he locked up going into that corner. First mistake we see here 3 minutes into the race.
Yeah, Iwan Bremer, I believe, has hit the wall. The question is, I think it was on his right side. How much damage did he do? Oh, he scraped it up. Look at the rear right there. You can see the quarter panel is scraped up like crazy. So Iwan Bremer there was lucky to survive, and so is David Walters currently at the moment. Now, if we look at the gap back, at the moment he's got 22 seconds over Stefan Mellis. That's on the first lap, and he's got 3 laps. There's a possibility, you know, he might still come out round about 6th or 7th, depending on how much gap he can pull on these guys. So it might not work out too bad for him.
And look what's happening right behind him. You've got Larson holding on because McHutchinson can't really go anywhere. It's hard to get by Walters. He knows he's got to do a pass-through because he jumped, so he's kind of just hanging out. But that's allowing Larson to stay with him. And if McHutchinson doesn't make a move on Walters, Larson could start a battle with McHutchinson, which might make it a little more difficult for McHutchinson to get away from this field.
Yeah, maybe it will. The interesting thing is as well, they're coming around the top part of the circuit before they start going into the left, right, before he goes onto the Dotino. And if Larson could stay with him, the draft here is so strong that there's an opportunity that this could be a three-way battle. And if David Walters chooses not to go in there, Rob, as well, he can go again. You know, this is only lap 1. He's got lap 2 and lap 3 before he's even got to take his stop and go. So there is a technical part of this that if Larson can put McHutchinson under pressure, there's no reason why Walters can't necessarily stay in the lead. I'm not saying he's going to stay there because obviously we know he's got to stop and go. He's going to lose that position. But at the end of the day, he might still be within that fight because everybody's got a pit. So tough one.
Walters looking like he's keeping pretty good pace, and Mick Hutchinson is pulling away from Larson just a little bit. But Larson could be setting it up, you know, waiting to see what these two are going to do, see if these two are going to make a mistake, get together. Being it's such a small racetrack, the chances of getting together when you're trying to make an overtake is much higher. There's not as much room to give when there's not as much room on the racetrack. So Larson could just be holding back, knowing Hutchinson might want to try to get around Walters to get away from Larson.
Yeah, if he gets onto this Dottenham around about half a second or 4/10 close to McHutchinson here, there's no reason why he will not be able to catch up. This draft is incredibly strong. McHutchinson's got out a half a second. Larson's got 3/10 coming around that top corner there before they go onto the Dottenham, and we're on the Dottenham now. Watch the times come down on your left-hand side because they're going to come down quite rapidly. I'll tell you that much. They'll go and going to go down faster than an elevator with no brakes. So be careful. Here we go now. They're 2/10 back on the moment. McHutchinson's still coming down. It's still coming down. Is he going to be able to get this move done before the end of the dyno? Larson's going to be making a move now. Here we go. Larson's going to go through. Is he going to get David Walters at the same time? They're going under the Bilston Bridge now. They're running down through the last part. It's going to be Larson. 2 places. Cattle Larson sets them up 2 places. I told you the draft was strong, Rob, and he absolutely flew it. And David Walters went in at the end of the first lap that actually probably he didn't need to do, but he did it anyway.
Oh man, that slowed up Mick Hutchinson because he really got on the binders there right at the entrance of pit and made Mick Hutchinson really get on him. So now there's a 1.1 second gap between Larson's awesome overtake and Hutchinson. Hutchinson was a little bit faster than Larson in qualifying, so he might catch up fairly quickly. We'll watch that. But that was an awesome overtake by Larson, using the WAF, getting 2 places for 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Iwan Bremer has had an incident, so we'll have a look back at that. He's put himself in the pits, unfortunately. Let's have a look and see what he's been up to. Right, there is Iwan Bremer. Oh, you've hit the outside grass. Yes, you have. Oh, E1. Can he get that car back? Nope, he can't even turn that car. He's had to tow it. And then Ian Bremer into the pits. He's got to wait for his fast repair. But he's got to wait for the tow first. So that's going to be the interesting thing here as well. Paul Clark has got David Rolliston right behind him, tucked up at the moment. Stephen Place and Dennis Kiriakopoulos are, again, really close together, as is Gary Truby and Michael LeMay. This is the battle for the team championship, don't forget, in the hands. Is Truby going to be able to hold it? Is it going to be able to hold it? Oh, he's locking up, he's locking, no! Gary Truby went into that corner harder than a jacket potato, and unfortunately he did not stop the car. But Kiriakopoulos has still got place ahead of him. The thing is with Rob, right, that's easily done, isn't it? That corner is so tricky. You go into it too fast, you can hit that grass patch on the outside, and you're not stopping. You know what I mean? It's easily done.
With the way this track is, the up and down the hills, you've got lower portions, higher portions, and right there you're kind of coming down the hill, and that will the gravity and the momentum is a little bit more on, and you kind of underestimate it a little bit, and also trying to get by another driver on a kind of offline. He just kind of sent it in a little bit too hot, was trying to use every little bit of grip he had, and he just happened to run out just a little bit short. Gonna end up losing a place, but look at Place. He starts in the back. You talk about him starting 13th, already up to 6th, putting pressure on Kiriakopoulos for 5th place already. Just now almost 10 minutes into the race, 9 minutes currently into the 90-minute enduro race.
Yeah, oh, David G has crashed. Stefan Mellis has crashed. Let's have a look back and see what Stefan Mellis has been up to. There is Stefan Mellis, of course. Oh, he's hit the curb. Is he gonna keep it out? No, he's not. And into the wall he goes for Stefan Mellis there. And let's have a look back at Damien G and see what he's been doing. That is Damien G. Oh, that's not the outside grass. It is. Is he going to be able to stop that coming into that hairpin? No! No! Well, that could have been a natural disaster there, Rob, couldn't it?
I can't tell you what happened there. It looks like something broke on the car, because he didn't have any turn or brake, or it all of a sudden just went straight. That was pretty crazy, and yeah, that was a really hard hit into the wall. So hopefully he's all right and get that car back out on the track. Oh, whoa! Little bit of looseness coming out of over top of that hill there for Guy Robertson. He gets it back straight. Maybe just a little bit of nerves with them cars right behind him, but he falls back in. Currently 9th place, so not doing too shabby. Still in the mix of things, can still make it happen once he gets them nerves calmed back down. But this track is definitely going to eat those nerves away as he gets into the wall. What happened there?
Unfortunately, that was right behind the advertising board.
I'm wondering if he maybe got into the wall a little bit earlier and had some suspension problems, was having a hard time steering, and that's where we came into seeing him having issues there.
Yeah, he didn't really stop. He didn't really do anything, did he? He just kind of stuck it behind the wall, and that was about it for Guy Robinson. So, unfortunately for Robinson there, it was a little bit of a rough one as he goes and dives in through the carousel, pops out the other side, and unfortunately you cannot stop that car when you go into the carousel too hot. So we've got Mellis, Robinson and Bremer all currently in the pits. Our field has dwindled down to 10, and we've still got an hour and 18 minutes left. So, you know, it's going to be a tough one there, unfortunately, tonight. But we have got David Walters coming back out after his stop-and-go penalty. As we know, he jumped the start there and had to basically, well, go into the pits and stop and go. But the interesting thing is Ewan Bremer has come out of the pits and he's gone back in. What did he do? Oh, Ewan.
Send a little too hot. And we seen just a moment ago that Place had gotten by Kiriakopoulos and is over 5 seconds ahead. So I'm wondering if he had possibly, or if Dennis had possibly an issue, because now he's got Walters all over his tail, and he was just way up with Place about 8 seconds ahead. So I wonder what actually happened with Dennis there in the last couple seconds while we were watching other drivers having issues.
Well, I can tell you now, nothing. Nothing has happened, according to the events log. Nothing has happened to Dennis Kiriakopoulos at all. He's just unfortunately lost time to Stephen Place, who just seems like he's naturally on a flyer. Paul Clark here has got David Rolliston chasing down him on the dotting hoe at the moment as they're going to go under the Bilston Bridge. There they go, round the other side. Is this going to work out? Rolliston is through. What about this one? Kiriakopoulos and David Waters. Waters is cleared in by Miles. McHutchinson fastest lap of the race at a 6:16. Currently only just less than a second behind Kettle Larson currently at the moment. Give you a quick rundown. David Waters jumped the start. John McHutchinson was in second after that. Kettle Larson in third. Larson took the lead on the dotting at the end of the first lap. He made 2 places up. David Waters jumped into the pits for his stop and go. Damien G, Guy Robinson, Stefan Mellis and Ewan Bramer has had an incident. Ewan had one twice, unfortunately for him, so that wasn't really necessarily great. But here is the battle up front with Kettle Larson and John McHutchison. Says Ewan, just not in it from the jump start to crashing 3 times. Well, never mind. Are you coming back out, Ewan, or is that you're going to be done? I wonder what your repairs are there, so let us know here as well. From our point of view, Rob, right, we really don't want John McHutchinson to clear Kettle Larson just yet, do we? Because we've seen how fast he is in qualifying. You know, 3 seconds, 2.7 seconds quicker than anybody else. Surely if he gets out in front, he's going to be gone, isn't he?
Well, possibly, and that's the thing with going into Hutchinson is we saw him. He started on pole, and Walters got the jump, so he had to work behind him, and he didn't kind of seem like he had a real problem with Walters being there. He knew he was going to get out in front, but then when Larson got by him, we almost saw the impatience grow in him. All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh no, now I've got to go." He almost ran into Walters when he hit the brakes going into the pits, gave him a 1.5-second gap, and now he's got that down to a 0.5 second. I'm wondering if McHutchinson is going to be patient with this overtake or if he's going to try to do it the moment it pops up. We'll have to see, but McHutchinson is very, very fast. He was a couple seconds faster than Larson in qualifying. Now, that's 1 lap pace. You want to watch your tires. It is a 90-lap race. But he could be pulling away, and he could just get a 2-second gap and then just kind of maintain and keep that number and only push when he has to. So he's definitely in control of this race, but he's got to get by Larson before he's completely in control.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing. He'll either do it over one of the long straights that we do have here. There is a few at the Nordschleife. There's one main one that you can watch, which is the dot and hoe. There's the one at the beginning, and there's the one at the top part of the circuit as well, which these guys will be coming on to very, very shortly. We're going to be going right here before you then end up going on to another short straight, which bends round to the left, and then you've got a tight right-hander, I suppose. You generally brake when the tarmac changes, just about now into the graffiti. Around you go, and then this is an opportunity here as well that if McHutchinson can stay with Larson, we will be interested here to see how he gets on. It's 90 minutes, not 90 laps. No, can you imagine 90 laps around Nords at 6 minutes, Joachim? Good blimey, I'll be here still until in the morning, the 90 laps. But here comes McHutchinson. Is he going to be able to ride this round Larson? Larson's just got to really put it in the middle of the track, and there's going to be nowhere for him to go at all. He's going to lift a little bit there as he carries on running now. Up into the car, last bit, coming up to the corner just before the carousel. Yeah, and on the brakes they go there as well. They're coming up to the carousel now, and they've got to go in the dip. If they pop out, there's going to be trouble. And this could be trouble for one of the team championships. Michael LeMay has had an incident. He's still running. He's got 4 seconds over Damien G. We will have a quick look back at that and see what happened to Michael LeMay here. Oh, nothing happened. Where did he go? Oh, there you are. Oh, he's coming into that mini carousel. Oh. Well, trying to get a Damien G there, to be fair, Rob, isn't he? He just did the same thing Damien G did a lap before.
But the problem is G got a little more into that wall. He love tapped it. He got it rolled up enough, and it was just a little kiss. Not too much damage, just some time lost. with 90 minutes. That is possible to make up if you do push, but Larson doing a great job holding off McCutcheon here, keeping the gap at a half a second. Not sure if that's McCutcheon being patient, as we saw. He did let off a little bit on that long straight. Maybe he is waiting for the dot straight that you're talking about there, where we saw Larson get by him and Walters. Maybe he wants a little bit of payback there on that straight, and he's just kind of waiting for that, knowing that that is a completely straight area to be able to make a good overtake. And he's just got to keep himself in a good space and keep Larson right there on his tail.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. There's no need for McCutcheon to push. He's got the dotting hoe coming up soon. Here, they're going to go right down into third gear around the left-hander. He's going to be hard on the throttle here, coming into almost the mini carousel. Before he goes on the brakes, drops in again, pops out the other side. He's got about 3 tenths. Larson's quick round this top corner, mind you, as he comes round. So from McCutcheon's point of view, there we go, loses nearly a tenth, but he's still got, don't want to be doing that. He does not want to be doing that too often. On that grass on that left-hand side, that could have been so much more dangerous for John McCutcheon. As you can see now, he has lost an absolute chunk of time. He's not going to get Larson at the end of the straight. He's too far back here, Rob. He's going to have to be patient again.
And that's the thing, don't make mistakes. That's one little mistake, and it cost him the chance of an overtake and taking the lead back here. Now he's going to have to wait possibly another 6 minutes to try it again here. This is where he'd like to make his move. It cost him a mistake, but you see him, he's catching right back up, and it looks like Larson's making a pit stop.
Yeah. Oh, and he hit the wall, just for good health there. Larson on the pit stop of 1:11 to go. He should make it to the end, because they do have to pit, of course. Or maybe he's just getting some little bits of repairs done. If he has done that, then I'm not quite sure why, with a brief 6 second pit stop time and a 20-second pit lane time. So maybe Larson there is, could he have not, I don't know, Rob, any ideas?
I am kind of mind blown. He was out leading out front. We saw he just took that corner and gained a bunch of time over top of McCutcheon. I have absolutely no clue why he would have gone into the pit lane unless he was just trying to get a little bit more fuel to fill the tank back up and get him to the end. But maybe it is part of the strategy. He was just getting a little bit of repair and getting some fuel and wanted to do it soon enough, seeing that the field is where he's at. He can get Rollerson here pretty quickly and try to undercut McCutcheon.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about why he would do that. I suppose from their point of view, there is no regulations on fueling, so it's possible he may just have nipped in, topped up and coming out again. Now, generally, after about 4 laps, these tyres are feeling the pain, shall we say. They're feeling the pain. They do squeal at you after around about just after 3.5 laps. Trust me, they did to me in the official. So from Larson's point of view now, he's got to chase down again David Rolliston. Rollo the last time was a 6:23. Larson's last time there did not register because he went into the pits, of course. So he's going to be, he's doing round about 6:18. So I think he's going to be a little bit quicker here than David Rolliston. It just depends on how much, I think it's how much fight Rollo really wants to put up, Rob, to be fair.
Yeah, Larson is quick, so he was much quicker than Larson, almost 3 seconds quicker already in the race. So it's going to just be a matter of choosing when to get by him, whether he just does it on the straight and makes it quick and simple, or if Rollo moves out of the way and just lets him go by because he's worried about him being on his tail. It's a long race. We still have 1 hour and 8 minutes left to go in the race. Plenty of time to make moves, and like you said, most of these drivers still need to make a pit stop. So there's still a lot of time to make something happen. And this is the closest battle on track, 0.3 of a second right now, because Larson gave up the lead to make a very short pit stop.
Yeah, I still can't get, if anybody's got any ideas in chat why that would have taken place. If you're going to pit, surely you would make a bit of a longer one to make sure. Well, I suppose depending on what his fuel load is, we'll see how he gets on here as well. But this is where he can make this move again past David Rolliston. Let's see what happens. Rollo from the Tiger team, of course, getting Larson from IGL Coatings. Here, let's see how he gets on, but it is going to be red line for the team championships in the pros. Michael LeMay is still on track, so the guys from Two Brothers Racing there could possibly still take it. Of course, he's second in the AMs at the minute, with Damien G and Gary Truby behind him third and fourth. So they've got to get first and second for the Rad Sports Sim Racing guys to really make a dent into the Two Brothers Racing, and I don't think they're going to be able to. Larson's not looking like he'll get through here, Robbo. Again, maybe he's more patiently waiting for the Dong Ho at the backside of the circuit.
Yeah, and don't forget, Rollerson's here. He's the leader of the AMs right now, running in the middle of McCutcheon and Larson of the pros. So Rollerson already doing a fantastic job. 18 seconds behind McCutcheon already, but plenty of time in front of May, G, and Tubi. So if you really did want to let Larson go, it wouldn't hurt him that much. But really, still Tubi and Robertson really need to, or sorry, G and Tubi really need to get on the move and get a couple more spots if they really want to take that championship away. And Rollerson's really going to have to make a mistake, as we see Larson is now starting to gain and pull away from him fairly quickly.
Yeah, he did pass him and got the job done there from Kettle Larson, and we'll show you how that happened here on your screen right now. I think Rollo, practically lets him through. He doesn't really fight him, to be honest. It was a nice, simple way. And currently Larson's now got a 1.4 second gap over him already. Toxic there, jump, confused? I don't know. The stop itself was 6.2 seconds. His pit lane time was 20.88. And it was literally brief at best. So, you know, it's how he started, I suppose. Mike, there's a question for you driving in this endurance series. Would you go out, or would you go out on full fuel, like 100% to get to the end, do you reckon? Or would you still need to fill up? Because would 100 get you to the end? Because you are under no regulations of fuel and tyres, so I suppose technically you can start with whatever you feel best, Rob. I'm not entirely sure if 100% is ideal though, because it makes you, well, slower than a boat at the beginning.
Yeah, well, with an endurance race, as long as you can manage your car, if you can stay out longer than the rest of the drivers, and if everybody is thinking here with the fuel mileage they got, they're going to have to make a two-stop. If you can make it a one-stop, your tires may be screaming at you, but you can save, like you said, 20 seconds of pit lane time. That's quite a bit on the board. That's a couple positions for a couple of these drivers.
Oh, here comes David Woods. Goes past Stephen Place, down the Dotting Hoe, under the Bilston Bridge he goes about now. There it is. There's the shadow, and he drops down into this last part of the circuit. Next up on Walter's hit list almost is Paul Clark. Obviously, David Walters was fast. Qualified in third.
Anderson goes off. He's around.
Oh, Rollo.
This is exactly what G and Tubi needed to catch up. He's going in the pits now to get some repairs, but G and Tubi, if they get by him, as we see Heraclopolis coming through, that means LeMay and G and Tubi are going to be coming right after that. Now they just need for something to happen with LeMay, and the Rad Sport Sim Racing drivers could be on top for the championship.
It could well be. Damien G here as well. Rollo's still in the pits at this moment in time. There he is, sat there currently at the moment. This is more of a pit lane time that I'm expecting for the people for the pits. Rollo's out now. He's going to come out side by side with with Damien G. Where is Gary Truby? There he is. He's not going to make it. It's going to be Rollo. Let's have a look back and see what happened to Rollo. Oh, too much speed. Too much. Oof! Oh!
He almost took out Clark there. Clark got very lucky that Rollo didn't get that wing there, because that would have been something else for Clark. But luckily, Clark's still doing a good job. He's in third place, so close. I bet you he needs a new pair of pants after that one.
I would, to be fair. If I saw the spinning Gary Truby coming across the circuit there, I would be as well. Now, I've just noticed on Gary Truby's name, he's missing a letter. Why is he missing a letter out of his surname, considering it's Truby? I'm sure it's Truby. It has been Truby all season long. Oh, I can see what you've done. Okay. Correcting on the fly here as well. Bear with. There we go. It is Gary Truby. So, sorry, Gary. And I didn't really pick up, Rob, why you were saying Truby until I looked down and then realised there's no R in his name. The R's gone missing, which was a bit bizarre. But there we go. All done and dusted. An hour on the clock, Rob. The cars are getting a little bit sort of spacious, aren't they? We've got Paul Clark, David Walters, David G and David Rolliston together. Lucky enough these are together, otherwise it would be a very lonely race. How do you cope with a race driving around on your own though, Rob? Like, you know, being in that position where there's gaps farthest apart from you and gaps in front of you and behind you, how would you cope with it?
Well, you're already in an endurance race, which means you're more racing against the clock than you are the other drivers. And especially at a place like Nordschleife, where you're over 20 kilometers of racetrack, you're gonna get that distance. You're gonna get that gap between drivers and drivers. What the main thing is it really helps you focus on your driving. Focus on your line. Focus on hitting your marks. Focus on doing the best of your abilities. And if you continue to do that, you know, you work your way up. Like we see Walters. He made that mistake at the start. He made his pit stop, you know, right away in, and now 25 minutes later, he's making the move on Clark and moving up into third position. He's only 8 seconds back from Larson at the moment. I don't see why Walters can't get up to Larson with an hour left in the race. You just have to run your race, and the race will come to you. It's when you try to start running someone else's race or keeping up with someone else or doing the same thing someone else is doing, that's when you start making mistakes, and that's when your race goes from bad to worse.
Okay. But how do you stay in tune with the race? Because I end up, right, thinking about, I don't know, what I'm going to have for dinner, or what I'm going to do tomorrow, or how much housework my wife's going to make me do, or anything like that before I can do anything else. You know, how do you stay focused? Because I wonder, like, you know, I think my brain is too active, and I wander off doing all sorts of different things in your head, Rob. How do they stay focused for this period of time?
Well, as a driver, it's just kind of one of the talents that comes with being a driver. If your mind is somewhere else, it's not on the race while you're in the middle of a race, no matter how long the race is or what's going on, you really got to find a way to get that laser focus. And with a lot of drivers, you know, the talent is just there to where when you're on the racetrack and you're in that car and you're going 150 miles an hour around a 90-degree corner, that laser focus just comes in and it sets in and it just holds on, and you're really able to just throw everything out the window other than the car and track that's in front of you and under you.
Okay, well, there you go. That's Rob's insight into staying focused. Mind, think about your shopping. Think about whatever, I don't know. Think about something, because that's what I end up doing. Let us know in chat how you stay focused for this period of time. Obviously, as you know, I drove these 90 minutes and these sort of hour and 15 minutes races back when the Radical Simracing was the initial FBL, a long time ago, mind you, back in 2020, I think, give or take. So there's been a lot of developments over this period of time here for the Radical Simracing. But let us know in chat how you stay focused and how you do it. Buson's there, but I prefer to have a target car in front rather than hitting a delta time. I drift off. Yeah, see, he does the same as me. We go off on our own little tangent shopping trips. As we can see, Stephen Place closing up on the back of Paul Clark coming down the Dottenhove. He gets in before the Bilston Bridge, which will be coming up very, very shortly. There is the bridge, there is Paul Clark. Stephen Place is alongside. There he is on the right-hand side. It's job done for Place, and now Stephen Place is up 7 positions and is absolutely flying. And that's exactly what we said about Stephen Place starting near the back of the grid, did we? Because he's now up, he started in 11th, he's now up 7 places.
Yeah, and Larson just actually puts his fastest time of the race down, still 20 seconds behind McCutcheon. But Place, he's not that far behind Larson. He's only about 10 seconds, 11 seconds behind Larson. And with the pace that he's continuing, he could catch up to, I mean, Walters is catching Larson faster, but he's definitely going to catch up to Walters or Larson, one of the two, because Place is on a move. And he started from 13th position. Can you imagine if he would have started there in the top 5? I believe he'd have been up there right in the middle of Mick Hutchinson and Larson at the moment. But working his way up through the field, it's definitely a show, and it's really awesome to see him do that at all these different racetracks.
Yeah, it definitely is here as well. But Stephen Place does do this a lot as well. George Gonzaga in YouTube. Your focus on breaking points never gets boring. Well, clearly my brain thinks something different there, George, I'm afraid. And Toxic, I don't know. I'll let you know after my 2-hour stint in BRL Daytona race next Saturday. Okay, well, there we go. That's Toxic going to let me know after his 2-hour stint to see how he gets on as well. I am down. The worst thing is, right, guys, as well, is I'm down to do the Sebring 12-hour for LSRL Green GT3 team. We're in the Mercedes of all things as well, which I took for a spin the other day, Rob, on their setup, and well, let's just say it didn't go too well. The back end felt so loose, I felt like I was on ice skates. The GT3 tyre patch has caused, you know, somewhat of a massive issue. Now, talking about patches as well, the Radical is getting a patch to it at the end of the next iRacing update. So the Radical is getting a patch to it. Now I'm just trying to find, as I scour through my race notes, to try and find where I have actually put that piece of information. But the Radical is getting a update, or some will say not an update, as the car physics parameters have been updated slightly. For the new damage model, yield and brake limits for the body panels have been reduced. Great. And the iRacing setups have been updated. Now, anybody that drives this car knows it's made pretty much of paper mache. And now they've reduced that even more. It's going to take you to hit a blade of grass before your rear wing pops off, by the sounds of it, Rob. I don't know how they can make a car that's made of paper mache any more damageable than it already is.
Well, I mean, we see I'm hoping that it's more of a you can see what's going on, because when you do scrape the wall, it is a simulator. It's not like two objects are actually colliding, so it's got to try to work itself into being a good mesh when it happens. And I think that's what a lot of the little updates are for these things. But being that these cars are made very, very lightweight, it doesn't surprise me that the speeds they're going, they want them to be a little bit more brittle to more act like real life, where maybe it doesn't destroy the car by hitting the wall, but you're at least going to put the toe out and make it drive a little bit different. And I think that's the overall goal of iRacing, is to make the sim the most realistic and most advanced simulator on the market.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Okay, you're doing an official in a Radical. You go in. Oh, Paul Clark's popped out of the carousel. Stephen Place, sorry, popped out of the carousel. That's never good. Paul Clark has closed back up behind him here. Is he going to be able to get him? I don't think, from Paul Clark's point of view, he'll even contemplate making this move before he gets onto the dot. No, anyway, let me ask you a question, right? You're in a race, you're in an official. The car's been updated. It's now flimsier than, well, just wet cardboard. You got them, somebody else has made a mistake. They've come torpedoing into you. The car's all bent up. You get back into the pits after your free corner out in the race. You look down and you don't see fast repairs. Your race is done through somebody else's mistake. Do you feel that iRacing need to give the C-Class Radical a fast repair, so people who are going to make mistakes with this over brittle car that we've got now and the even brittler version we're going to have after the update, have at least got a chance to try and gain back some form of IR and SR, right? Because if this happens for a few races, and it's say you're making an 80 IR loss, you could lose 320 IR in one race because you're mistakes of others.
I've always kind of felt that the fast repairs, I can go both ways with it. I've always felt the fast repairs in some cases were harming the racing that was going on, and at the same time, like you say, that I've been in cases where I get into a race and there's no fast repairs and I expect it to be a good race, and you get some people that are driving horribly and it kind of ruins your race after a couple laps and there's no way to come back from it. So yes, I do feel that there should be some updated aspect on how to allow drivers to get back into a race, whether it be, an algorithm that says the last 3 races this driver was this clean, so we'll allow the fast repair to work, or whatever it has to be. But I feel like there's a lot of times that you're in official races that you get taken out way before you should have, and it was just because you were struggling a little bit on your own, but you were staying safe but not as fast, or someone just blatantly takes you out because they're not very happy with where they're at or what's going on in their race. So it's a really rough thing to play with, and official races are like that sometimes because everybody's trying to be the best. Everybody's trying to win every race, and it can get kind of crazy sometimes.
But do you not think then that might be where people's racecraft and sensibility have to come into it? If you're not going to make the gap, don't try and make a gap. You know what I mean? And that's the difference, isn't it? Some people go for a gap that they try and make rather than one that's trying there. But if you are going to make a reduction on the aspect of the body of the radical and make it more flimsy and more damageable, surely you've got to give the racers something to go and compensate for the fact that they're going to lose 80, 100 IR every race if somebody takes them out. I don't know. I think, let us know what you feel in chat, okay? Let us know, and I will generally adhere by your messages. You don't get fast repairs in real life. Getting them makes it more of a game, not a simulator. Okay. Right, George. Hold on there, buddy. You don't get them in real life, you're right. But you also don't sit there for 15 minutes repairs when you've whipped off a front wishbone and a wheel and any other part of the body that goes anywhere. You're there, you're done. You're there for 24 hours at least. Your mechanics are not supermen, George. So if you're not going to make that aspect real, you can't define the fact that real life is real life. The sim needs real life accountability, which I understand, Rob, and that's what people have said, we're going to real life. But if you go into the wall and your wheel's pointing in the opposite direction, trust me, in real life, it's not going to be a 15-minute repair for you to come back out after if you're in an endurance race. You're going to be done. 12 hours Sebring, you're going at the wall in the airport, on the racetrack, and you bent your wheel up. It ain't going to be 15 minutes come back out again, George. So there's got to be a balance there as well. Do you think there's got to be a balance, Rob? You can't make it too real life, can you? Because, you're going to end up with a completely different aspect of racing.
Right, you can't offer the unlimited fast repair where no matter what happens, you just get a fast repair and get back on the track. But in talking real life, I mean, talking hypothetically, if it were possible for drivers and teams in Formula One and NASCAR and Indy and GT3 and all over the world, if they had the option of a fast repair, they would all be petitioning to take a fast repair. We'd have amazing conversations about all these fast repair cars that they have, or driver change cars or whatever, But when it comes to a sim and what you're doing, you're trying to race, you're trying to do good, and you're on a simulator with people from all over the world. You never knew who you're going to race with. At least when you're in real life and you're showing up to races, you've got people that have got money in their cars and they've got stuff on the line, and it actually matters if that car comes home in one piece. Whereas in the simulator, if it's an official race and it just doesn't come home in one piece, well, it's not that big a deal. I can just go and, race the next race. I don't have to spend any money on it. So that is where the fast repair stuff kind of comes in, because you get drivers that do drive differently because there's not money or pride or your own equipment at stake.
So therefore, I think iRacing shouldn't do a fast repair bill. However, for Michael LeMay, it's been a completely different story here. What has he done, and is this going to put him behind the Rad Sports Sim Racing guys as well? Coming around the left-hander, he's going to bounce the curb. Oh, he spins it round. Does he keep it out of the wall? Keep it out of the wall. Keep it out of the wall. Oh, he does. He lives to fight another day. Oh, go on, son. Go on, mate. You've got this. Oh, there we go.
But at the same time, Gary Truby is in the pit lane right now, so he is losing a bunch of time to LeMay. It's going to be Damien G. He's going to have to take LeMay, and LeMay's going to have to make another problem in order for that to happen. But as you see, Truby goes into the wall, and that's going to be a tow, so that's going to take him a little while to get there with this long course, too.
Look at that. Did you see his steering angle going in there? He had nothing. He had absolutely no steering angle. Watch his steering. He's gone all the way to the right. Nothing's happening. Not one bit of turning.
I have to imagine he hit a curb or something, and that messed up the toe. And when he went to make that right-hand turn, it just didn't want to go. That is a really tough break for Truby, because him and G were doing a fairly decent job at fighting with LeMay for that championship.
Yeah, they're very bizarre. He just turned the wheel and literally nothing happened at all. So Gary Truby is in the pits, David Rolliston, Ewan Brayman. Now, we could be here debating this fast repair debate for the next 45 minutes, right? We do understand what you're saying. I just think if they're going to come in with a change like that, where they're going to make it a more brittle car than it already is, and let's face it, we know it is made of paper mache, then I think they've got to give you something, and they're not. And unless they come out and say fast repair added to the SR10 setups, I think, again, with the fact that participation in the SR10 races has been dropping rapidly, I think there is a possibility that it may continue to drop, because if you're going to make a brittle car, you're giving no options for people to get back on track again. Unfortunately, I've got a funny feeling you will be damaging your series and done and dusted. David Rolliston is out. Why? Does that go back to what you did earlier? No. Oh, that's something else. Oh, Rollo. There's a whole lot of damage there, and that could be why he's jumped to the pit and is out of the race for David Rolliston there as well. 45 minutes on the clock. You can see on the left-hand side, guys, that is not gaps to the leader. That is gaps to the next car in front. There is gaps, and gaps. But the interesting thing is whether or not Michael LeMay, who is just coming around onto the Dottinger, you'll go left here and then round onto the Dottinger, and Damien G, what they can do. That is the battle for the AMS teams, as we say. At the moment, Two Brothers Racing have got it, and we're expecting them to continue to have it at the end of this race. As I say, Gary Truby and Damien G needed a 1-2, where Michael LeMay really didn't need to finish. Paul Clark is in the pits currently at the moment and has been for about 27 seconds and climbing. This is more of a pit lane. Oh, he's going to take tyres. This is more of a pit lane time that we expect than the one that Kettle Larson did earlier.
Yeah, and I expect, being over halfway through the race now, 45 minutes left to go, 44 minutes left to go. We are just now past the halfway point. These drivers, them tires have got to be screaming at them. So I have to imagine that now that they made it halfway, everybody is going to start coming in, getting that pit stop, getting some fresh rubber, and getting settled in for the last 40 minutes of the race here.
Yeah, I think it is. It's now just a battle of the mental mind games with 43 minutes to go. But if you're going to talk about real life there, George, talk about the pit stop. Would you really have somebody standing there with fuel, putting it in first before somebody's there with a gun changing your tyres? Now, as we know in F1, they have 22 people around them. Obviously, they took out the ability for refueling, but even when they did, they still had 24 people around the car refueling at the same time they were changing tyres. So if you want to go into that real life aspect, George Gonzaga, we could be here all day because I could chat about this one all day. How far do you think, Rob, do they need to go with it? Do they need to push the boundaries and make it more real life? Because, as you say, a front wishbone damage and popping off your wheel is not going to be a 15-minute repair, is it?
No, and it all depends on the race. iRacing wants to give you the opportunity to possibly get back in if your damage isn't that bad. And we don't have, all mechanics are different, all teams are different. You can't really simulate what a team can really do to a car. So it's more of a competition aspect. Yeah, you're out of the race. If you want to spend the time and ride around the track, once you get your car fixed and try to salvage what you can, then go ahead. If not, there's always another race you can register for. And that's kind of how iRacing seems to work. The realism for the cars and the tracks and the feel of everything is all there. They've done a magnificent job of getting this sim. They've been, I believe, around since 2004. So almost 20 years in simulator building, and this sim is just absolutely incredible. Most drivers that I race against race cars in real life, and a lot of them have driven some of what they've scanned, like modifieds and late models, and it's uncanny how close these simulated cars are to the real life cars. The only thing you really don't get to feel is that real sensation of speed and the feeling in your seat. Like Nicky Lauda said, he may not be very, very good here, but he's got a really nice butt, and he could feel everything, and that's where he got a lot of his information from, was through his butt. And that's the one thing you really do miss from a sim is that feeling of the race car and the G-forces that it produces.
As we know, people like Sim3D and Butt Kicker, they've all come out with ways to, how can I put it, enhance your sim racing experience, haven't they? They've come out and said that here's a machine that gives you a punch in the butt every now and then, or your brakes vibrate, or they've got Sim3D, have got wind machines that blow wind in your face, and all of this sort of stuff. So there is a way of making it more realistic, I suppose, and there is a way that enhancing your experience of sim racing in a general.
Yeah, in iRacing, it's although you don't have all of those different aspects. I mean, you can get them, and you can get motion rigs that'll move you around and whatnot. And I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole and spend your entire year's paycheck on a sim rig that's perfectly realistic as much as you can. But really, what a lot of iRacing allows you to do is the cars and tracks are laser scanned, so you can literally expect, if you are in a NASCAR next gen car and you're going around a racetrack, say the Daytona road course, and you're coming up on a braking zone, the braking point that you hit on your car with that setup in the sim is 99% accurate to the car that you would drive in real life. So that's why you're able to get used to the patience. This iRacing will teach you patience over anything else. And lines, the lines around these racetracks, they are laser scanned. They are accurate. The bumps in these tracks are as accurate as they can be to the real life racetracks. And iRacing does continually update as they go to make sure that you're getting the best experience out of these racetracks and these cars. Sometimes, they don't hit everything. We've been waiting for rain forever. We're hoping it actually comes out next season like they possibly say it might. Me personally, I've been hoping for a wing on the asphalt sprint car. They've got the dirt sprints, and I love an asphalt sprint. So there is a few things that iRacing just can't get to. It's so big, it's so massive. Motorsports spans the whole world, and there's so much there, but they really do a great job in capturing most of what the public really wants and needs out of a simulator. And we're seeing it right here with these drivers. There's such a gap in the skill level with these guys and such a long racetrack. We got McCutcheon 26 seconds out in front of Larson, and we saw Larson running with McCutcheon right there. But once you get that clean air, everything can change. And I mean, now these guys are just practicing for the next one.
Stephen Place has gone into the pits as well. I believe this may have something to do with it for Stephen Place. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay, so he kept it precariously out of the wall there. He's coming into the pits. He's made his pit stop of about 37 seconds there. And he's on his way. Oh, Michael LeMay, what have you been doing?
Damien G gets by him. That's what G needed.
Oh, don't, no. Yes. So from this man's point of view, he needs to keep this clean now. Because if Michael LeMay is done after that, let's have a look at his steering and see what is going on in the world of Michael LeMay. We'll get more of an idea on the Dottinghoe, to be fair. I think he's going to need to pit. He has got about 4.5 minutes over Damien G. So, you know, I have his steering's not straight. And I'll be able to tell you that right about now as he goes onto the Dottinghoe. I'm going to go onto the cockpit. That'll give you a better idea. The steering wheel's at the base there of your screen. No, he's off centre by about 5 to 10 degrees there. So unfortunately for Michael LeMay, he's going to have to go into the pits as well. Wish iRacing would go scan Thruxton and Cadwell soon then. Well, don't we all? One of the things that people have been crying out for, and you mentioned it, is the rain. Is there an opinion as to why we don't have rain yet?
I haven't heard an opinion as to why there's not rain. I just know that to put rain into a simulator as advanced as iRacing, iRacing's the leader in the sim world. So they don't want to release something that is not up to iRacing standard. You have to remember that you have all these different tracks with different types of surfaces. All these different surfaces do different types of stuff when it comes to just moisture in the air, to a little bit of rain, to heavy rain. Once you get into the heavy rain, you got to deal with all the hills and slopes and runoffs and how all the different tracks handle their runoff. And there's just so much that goes into adding water. Then you add the slipstream of what happens with a car when it's raining, when the traction when it's raining. There's just the brakes when it's raining. You just get so much extra that goes into it. New different tires for all the different series, windshield wipers, which we have, but we don't have rain. But there's just so much that goes into it that I'm sure iRacing has been working very diligently on to make sure that we have it. And I know a lot of people have said, well, Formula One games have rain and this game has rain, so why doesn't iRacing? Well, those are games. Those aren't meant to be simulations. Those are games. So they can play with it a little bit. Whereas iRacing, if they're going to add something to this simulator, it is going to be as realistic as possible. And I think that's what they're waiting for. But just wait. When that update drops and it says rain has been added, the entire iRacing community is going to flip upside down. People are going to freak out. And when we start seeing rain in races, we're really going to see the talent rise to the top.
Okay. There are other simulators with rain, isn't there? The likes of ACC, Race Room, you know, just to name a few. So what do we think, you know, because there's been a lot of prospective rumours about why we don't have rain, right? There's a lot of things that it's not about the fact that they can't bring it in or they haven't. It's the fact that their engine that they use can't have rain. It won't accept it in a way that they want to do it. And Toxic's basically summed it up as well. Rain, NASCAR won't race in that. No, they don't. You are correct. So that is probably one series that's not going to see rain, because if you get rain at an oval, you're dead. Forget about it. It's over. You're not going to do it. Same with the SK Modified series that Rob covers. It's, again, you're not going to get rain. It doesn't happen. But series like the Radical, well, the Radical will even be interesting because the cars don't have windscreens. So you're going to rely on what's being on your screen in front of you at that specific moment, because obviously you don't have window wipers. You know, there's nothing there to clear away things. You know, the rumours are circulating, Rob. How how long do you think before people really start kicking up a fuss before they turn around and say, come on, you've got to give us something, because they're not giving us a lot of information about when it's going to be. You know, we've seen photos of the setups with the Porsche Cup have got rain on them. You know, which series is going to get rain, which series isn't going to get rain. What do we think the main reason is? Because the rumours have been circulating about their engine that they built the game on that can't have rain on it. So does that mean they're going to do a massive overhaul of the whole engine before we even think about getting rain? Or is the likes of ACC, Race Room, F1, yes, you call it a game, it is, to fair play, but because they've already got it, it's something that they can add continuously, where iRacing has never had it. So therefore they can't add it to a standard using the engine that they built the original base game on.
Well, it could just be the matter of fact, like I mentioned earlier, iRacing has been around since 2004, and they're still on that original engine. And being as much as technology hasn't improved, I mean, they've done a great job with the engine they have now, but it could just be that they do need to do a massive overhaul. It has been almost 2 decades worth of the same engine, and, you know, sometimes we see different game designers and whatnot come out with different engines every 3 or 4 years to try to improve what they've got going on. And iRacing has steadily improved and done very well with what they've had. And the improvements over even the last 2 years have been absolutely incredible. So I wouldn't put it past them if they mentioned that, hey, you know, in a year and a half or in 6 months we're gonna have to do this and this and this and this, and, you know, subscription prices may jump up, they may not, but we'll have to see. It's, if that's really the case, that the engine is having a problem handling the rain, the only thing I see iRacing doing is changing the engine or updating it or making it even better, because there's so much of the community in iRacing that is road course racing and rain type racing. It's not like they're just American born and it's just NASCAR and it's just short. No, we've got a massive following for road course racing, and every single one of those people is calling out for rain. I'm not even gonna lie, I've messaged iRacing a few times going, hey, when are we gonna get rain? I can't wait for rain. Are we gonna get some rain soon? So I'm sure quite a few people are doing it. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's nagging iRacing for rain, and I'm sure they're doing their best to try to figure out the best way to get it to the public, because that's the main thing. Everybody wants it.
And that's the thing, I think, as well. You know, you mentioned you've messaged iRacing. You know, I've talked about it numerous amounts of times through numerous amounts of broadcasts that I've come across. And you know, it's one of the things that the public are wanting, the community are wanting. Yes, it then brings into question, and what license point are you going to put it in? Are you going to put rain in rookies so they can get used to it before they get to an A license? Or are they going to get to is it going to kill their player base because rookies jump in, they think it's easy, they pay a month's subscription, get rain, kill the car, don't go anywhere, cancel the subscription and drop out again? You know, there is a lot of variables, and I do understand, from my opinion, you know, because I do get quite opinionated about this whole rain situation, I do understand the implications of this and where they've got to go with them implications, because, you know, there's a lot of things that got to be taken into account. Where are you going to put it? You can't put it on NASCAR. You can't put it on Formula One. But then are you going to add something into Formula One that they don't have current? Well, they don't even allow you to repair the car on the W13. If you go and stack it, it says we're done. That's it. Game over. Are you really going to risk chucking it into that series? Are you going to risk putting it into rookies so people can learn it? But then is it going to kill your player base because they get fed up and can't drive in the rain? And there's a whole load of mountain of things, and I understand the difficulty, but it is the only thing that this community wants. Nobody cared when the tracks in Norway come out. Nobody cared when we see little inklings of little things about tracks. Nobody cares about that. Everybody in this community is crying out for rain. And even if it means that the iRacing simulator didn't get an update for 3 or 4 seasons, or 2 or 3 seasons, until they got rain, I think nobody would moan. And that's the thing. I'd love to see another LMDH. Don't get me out. Go and get the Glickenhaus or the Peugeot. That would be amazing. But I want rain, and everybody wants rain. So would you care, Rob, if there wasn't an update for 2 months, if it meant that you were going to get rain at the end of season 3?
I mean, I've been wanting rain for a long time. And that's the thing. Rain is just like caution flags. They don't throw cautions for rookie races. They wait until you're up into the C class, and that's when they'll throw the caution or the safety car or whatever. That's when they add that in there, because then they feel like you've got enough experience, you've got enough know-how. If there really is an issue on track, we wanna make it more realistic. But for the rookie series, you know, they don't throw those cautions because they know that it's the rookie series. They're going to make mistakes. There's going to be a lot of that. They don't want it to drag on. And I feel like it would be the same way with rain. They're not going to throw the rain at the rookie series or even possibly the D or C class series if they don't feel like that is going to keep the competition up and it's going to keep people around. I'm sure it will be open and available for all hosted races and league races, so that way when anybody wants rain, they can throw it on whatever they want, whether it be NASCAR or this or that. It's just the weather. You know, it's just one of those kind of things that when they set up the weather and time and all this and that, they just have to make sure that that rain setting is where they want it. But the rain setting could just be, you know, everything. It doesn't even have to be rain. It could just be it rained last night and we have practice this morning and the track's damp. Or, you know, we're racing through Daytona and at night it got cold and it put a little bit of wetness on the track, and that's what we're dealing with. So there's so much that could go into the moisture and the rain and everything that goes into it that I'm really excited to see what it does, because it's going to change the track, it's going to change the cars, and it's going to change the sim.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, we're both on agreement that we are sitting here waiting. Now, one of the things we are agreeing on is going to be after this one is we're going to see Two Brothers Racing taking the AM Championship, and this is why. Young Gary Truby as well. I'm not quite sure. Oh, hold on. Let me go back just that little bit. Here we go. Up on the curb. Yeah.
This is Damien G here.
Oh, that was Damien G. What did Gary Truby do then? I'm so confused. Did anything happen? Has he got nothing on his steering wheel? Has he got nothing? Did that steering wheel cut out? It looks like he's cut out, isn't it?
Either motor troubles or maybe he blew the motor.
That's, do you know what though? Thinking back to that is not, if that is the thing that's happened, that is not the first time we have seen that. I'm going to message him and find out. Because Guy Robinson posted a video the other day in the Discord that was quite interesting to see. As he turned one of the corners, the engine cut out and literally stopped. He had nothing. He never hit the key because it was on his keyboard. Nothing. It just cut out on him. So I'm wondering, it looked like all of a sudden that happened there was the same thing. Very bizarre.
Hutchinson getting really close to going off the track there. He was up on them curbs. He looks like he took his pit stop, because Larson was about 7 seconds back from him, and he's now pushing 9 seconds back. So it looks like McHutchinson got his pit stop in. You couldn't even tell because he's all out there by himself. And it looks like everybody's got their mandatory pit stop in. Larson and Walters got 2 stops in there, and they're still in second and third place. So I don't know what those guys are doing, but they've got something figured out there.
Yeah, McHutchinson did stop. He pitted on lap 9. Larson and Walters, they all come into the pits. I think they were round about the same time, so they have all pitted there as well. The field are very spread out, guys, here. We've got 10 cars on track. Truby's out, Rolliston's out, Bramer's out. And they're very spread out. You can see the gaps. We've got 9 seconds from McHutchinson to Larson, 15 seconds from Larson to Walters, 45 seconds from Walters to Place, 4 seconds from Place to Kiriakopoulos. Clark is a further 12 back. Damien G is a minute and a half. Michael LeMay is 9 seconds back from him, 38 seconds back from Guy Robinson, and Stefan Mellis, who is complimentary to him, is still running, is a lap back on the guys in front and 2 laps back from the leader. So he's a long way back currently at the moment. If we gap the car from the leader, there you go. He's about more than 1 lap there, guys. He's on lap 2 back. So we do have 23 minutes remaining here as we come in to the last 23 minutes. It's been an absolute great race to be a part of. We've had some wonderful discussions about how the future of iRacing should look. But let us know in chat, what is your opinions on it? What is your opinions on the rain, or down in the comment section below as well? That would be absolutely amazing, because as we know, there's a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, there's a lot of opinions regarding everything within our sim racing world that we are currently a part of. So please get your opinions in and let us know there, because that will be absolutely amazing here as well. And I do believe, once again, we have just hit 700 subscribers, so much love from everybody up here in the booth, and of course obviously everybody within JBB as well, because it has been an absolutely epic journey here for us all, and one that we hope that you're all enjoying, and thank you so much for joining us. 22 minutes left, Rob. The cars are very spread out currently at the moment, isn't there? There isn't really any real battles that would be likely to be seeing. Guy Robinson is in the pits as well for what will be stop number 3, I believe, for Guy Robinson. Stefan Mellis, he's got a couple of laps back, so he's not going to be in fear of losing a position. Stephen plays 4.5 seconds back from David Walters. Well, no, it's longer than that, actually. No, it's 44 seconds back from David Walters. He's got Kiriakopoulos behind him currently as well, Rob. I think this is the part of the race. Remember we were talking earlier when we turned around and said I'd go off and do my shopping in my head. I think this is it. This driving around on my own drive me insane, Rob. Got to be honest.
And this is the part of the race, 21 minutes left to go in the race. You've already been on track for 1 hour and 10 minutes in just the race alone. You had 20 minutes of qualifying. You had all the practice time before the race. You've spent a lot of time going around this 20-kilometer track, and you're tired. You know, these guys are getting to the point where they've already turned 1,500 corners just in the race, and that's not qualifying in practice. So yes, they are starting to get mentally drained. They are starting to slow down a little bit, but this is the point where that mental, almost, I don't even know how to describe it. You just have to keep that mental focus. You've got to keep your mind clear and on the race, and no matter where you're at, you can't let yourself get down. I know some drivers will have a crew chief or, you know, a spotter possibly on the radio, someone to talk to, someone to keep their mind right, someone to keep them from wandering, someone to make sure they stay on course, because if everybody starts to think about what they're going to be shopping for after the race, and one driver in the middle of the pack is just pushing like Max Verstappen, well, all of a sudden that driver can gain a lot of spots because everybody's not staying focused and maintaining pace. So that is the hard part about these endurance races, as we see McCutcheon turn the fastest lap of the race with a 6:15, 6:19. So he is still moving, and he's keeping that mental focus, even being all by himself way up in front.
Yeah, I think that mental focus is why I do not do long races. However, the Sebring 12 hour is going to be an exciting one, so we'll have to see how that pans out there as well. 11 seconds now. I'm not too sure why, guys, you're seeing a pink car for John McCutcheon, because on my screen it's yellow. So I'm a little bit confused why you're seeing a pink one. But, you know, I've tried to correct it quite a few times, and it's really not quite having any of it at this moment in time. So bear with us and we'll try again. But John McCutcheon's car, as you can see, is yellow. So he is in the yellow team round line. 19 minutes on the clock, and we've lost 3 people here as well. Carrying on now, Dennis Kiriakopoulos in 4th place currently at the moment. So we'll just have to see how that one gets on, and we'll keep going there as well. So we've got about 15 minutes near enough on the clock remaining, and then we'll do the brief little interviews after that. All right, so you know, stay tuned, guys, because we will keep going as we do here, as always, bringing you up to date with the action. And unfortunately, currently, we've got cars surviving on the racetrack, trying to, I suppose, Rob, at this point, get their car to the end.
Yeah, and I mean, if we look down at 7th place there with Damian G, he's doing everything he needed to today, and unfortunately, Truby is now out of the race and is not going to be able to fulfill his half of the red line sim racing duty. And LeMay is doing a great job at holding on to that 2nd place in the AMS division. But Damian G having a great drive. He's leading the AMS division at the moment, almost 10 seconds, 9.5 seconds over top of LeMay. LeMay does look like he's gaining a little bit on him, so in the next 17 minutes, we might be able to see a battle for the win of the AMS division between LeMay and G. We'll have to keep updated on that. But other than that, those drivers, I mean, G was behind LeMay for most of the race. LeMay made a mistake. G jumped out in front, and he's maintaining that spot now. And with Rollerston being the leader of that pack all the way up in 2nd for a while, him being out, it really opened up the door for G and Truby to make that championship happen in the AMS, and they just couldn't quite seal the deal today.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Guy Robinson has taken a little bit of a diver. Let's have a look here and see what Guy's been up to. Oh! Okay, Guy. Seems a little bit of a thinking about shopping mistake there from Guy Robinson, I believe, because that looked a little bit of an unusual one. But 9 seconds back, the gap between Kyriakopoulos and Place has come down to 3.9. So Dennis Kyriakopoulos there doing a 6:24.91 last time out. Place did do a 6:24.05, so maybe he's lost time somewhere else on the racetrack. But that gap is slowly lowering. As you say, Rudolf Nagel took the AM win. Team Radline's going to take, Rudolf Nagel took the pro win. Team Radline's going to take the pro team win. Paul LeMay took the AM win, and it looks like if Michael LeMay can keep it on track, the two brothers racing will take the AM victory as well. So there we go. That's the story, Rob, of what is currently happening here at the Nords as we enter into the last 15 minutes. We'll have a quick chat about John McHutchinson. He's just kind of, well, dominated, wouldn't you say? He's dominated this field.
Well, he had a lot of pace in practice. He had extreme pace in qualifying, and those two really determine kind of where you're at. Practice is for long run stuff, and then your qualifying shows your 1 lap pace, your true pace that you could really push that car to do. And we saw him a 1.5 seconds over top of the rest of the field, and even 3 seconds over top of 3rd place. So he started out the day with some great pace. We saw that he had to have some patience after Walter's jump to start at the beginning, and then Larson got by him. So he exercised all the different skills needed to really seal the deal at a race like this, and he's doing a great job. Now he's just got to do his best for the last 15 minutes and keep that car on track. He's got 13 seconds back to Larson, that's almost 30 seconds back to Walters, and he's almost a full minute back to Stephen Place in 4th place, and that's his teammate, the Team Radline. So Radline finishing out the season very strong. Hutchison season out the season very strong as well.
Yeah, it definitely is there as well. JD in chat. The Nords is unforgiving once again. Yes, we have lost 3 drivers here, and we've got Guy Robinson 5 minutes back, so practically another lap back. Michael LeMay 3.5, Damien G 3.4, and then we go down into the minute gaps before we break the second gap to a leader where we got David Walters can say 33 seconds, Kettle Larson can say 13, but everybody else is in the minutes behind this machine here that is the Scotsman of John McHutchison. He is gonna, if he can cross that line, which I believe he will do before his 12 minutes 30 mark, he should get 2 more laps in, if I'm not mistaken, before we then go on to the final lap. Unless, of course...
Now, what happened to Kyriakopoulos? He's now a minute 26 behind Stephen Place, and he was within almost a second of Place just about a minute ago. So Kyriakopoulos lost a lot of ground, or is it now showing
that's
2
the intervals?
seconds?
Yeah, it's the intervals. The gap there was the one to the leader. So it's a minute
Oh,
20
okay,
seconds.
there it is.
And then that one is the interval gaps between the drivers, so 2.5 seconds. So he is closing very, very slowly.
Yeah, I missed that interval gap one. It's crazy how some numbers would change with that. But yeah, quite a bit back from the leader, but still gaining on place. So that is going to be, I believe, before the end of the race, we might see Kirakopoulos trying to make a move for fourth.
I am hopeful that will happen. 2.8 at the moment, 12:14 on the clock. John McHutchison did make it, so there's going to be this one and 2 more if he makes it round, unless he slows right up to get within that 6.5 minutes where he only does the next lap as his last lap. But that is obviously depending on whether or not he's going to want to lose them 14 seconds, because that's roughly what he needs to pull off, to be fair. But we'll see there as well. Stephen Place has been off track, so it could be why that gap's closed even further. Ooh. He got away with that.
It was a great recovery by Stephen Place, and he holds on to that third position, but what a drive.
He definitely got away with that one, because that could have gone so much worse. There are the gainers and losers on your screen, guys. 7 places for place. Well, there we go. Say that one when you're drunk. Kirakopoulos up 2, Larson up 1, Damien G up 5, and then Guy Robertson is the last gainer on 1 there. Michael LeMay hasn't gained any places. He is in the same place where he started, but 2.5 seconds for Kirakopoulos. Stephen Place giving us a flash of his lights there as well. This has probably got the broadcast on another screen. 11 minutes. Would you, if you were John McHutchison, slow down so you've only got to do 1 more?
Well, I mean, he's got some pace, so I'm sure if he really wanted to, he could slow down. But as a driver, it's not in your nature to slow down and go faster. If you're doing an endurance race and you could get 1 more lap in at the Nordschleife, that's a bragging point right there. That's braggadocio. You can really be like, yeah, well, in 90 minutes I got 16 laps instead of 15, and it's like, what? And it's like, yeah, he was moving. So I mean, he could be pushing that car to try to get that extra lap. Not exactly sure, but he is way out in front of Larson right now, 14 seconds out front. And Walter's doing the best he could to make up after that mistake at the beginning of the race, but still 21 seconds now behind Larson, losing a little bit of time to Larson there. So he's not going to be able to catch that P2 spot as we expected with the pace he had coming up through the field. But I have to imagine that is tire degradation and just trying to keep that car in one piece to be able to come home with still a podium finish for that Tiger Racing team.
Yeah, Lasse Sorensen said depends on fuel level as well. If he is going to push here as well, he's got about 3 minutes and he's just coming round the carousel. So there is scope for him to really make that next lap as well, to give us 1 and 1 more. As you know, with anything within Nords in any class, you do have to wait for everybody to finish before you get the results. So, well, we have got a long old spread of cars across the racetrack. So we might have a little bit of a moment where you're listening to us waffle, I'm afraid, guys, because we do have quite a big spread. 7 and 8, which is Damien G and Michael LeMay, have only really just started their lap, while John McHutchison is coming round. He's got about 3 minutes to get to the end here. I think he should, in hindsight, be able to get another lap in before we then go on to the final lap. So let's see how it all pans out. But, you know, it's been a race of nutrition, Rob, hasn't it? It kicked off a bit at the beginning, slowly steady as it goes, and now we're in that ending period where John McHutchison has just been so dominant.
Yeah, and look at him flying through this part of the course. 15.8 seconds ahead in this last half a lap. He's gained over a second over top of Larson. He is really pushing that car right now, and we saw him come up over top of that hill, kind of sideways through that one corner, and every time I see him do that, I feel like he's going to go off, and he gets just that little runoff that you were talking about and keeps it straight. He's really moving. Now look at that, almost 16 seconds over Larson. So I really do think that McCutcheon is pushing to try to get one more lap in here and possibly open up the gap a little bit further to the back. But he's had an incredible drive today, and so has a lot of these other drivers. Stephen Place has moved up all them positions. Damian G has fought and held on and maintained to be able to take that top spot, and he's still 8 seconds over top of LeMay. So LeMay's he's gaining, but he's not gaining that much on him, and I think G is going to hold on to the win for the AMs. But it's been a spectacular race, and like you said, a race of attrition. You really got to watch out. We've seen a couple drivers go off the track a few times. They have to hit the pit road a couple times. And like Mellis, I believe he hit the pit road 3 times. He's 1 lap down, currently in 10th place still, but having a very, very difficult day. And when you're having such a long race and you have a difficult day at the beginning, it really kind of just snowballs down on you, and it's really hard to climb up out of that hole.
Yeah, it definitely is. John did make it through before his marks here, so we're going to have one more. So we're going to be at least another 12 minutes of this race as well. Stephen Place has been off track. That's allowed Dennis Kyrgiopoulos through. Place is, he's well off track. Let's have a look and see what he's been up to. Same corner. Same corner as last time. But he went off again after that. I wonder if that's actually... Nope, that would be the original incident. Here we go. Oh, hello. Oh, 2 seconds. Not quite sure why that decided that he wanted to do that.
Oh, that curb, that was not good. He hit the curb, and that got him a little loose, and then right there he jumps the curb and then gets into the wall. So I'm sure Place is just going to be holding on to that car. I'm sure that car has some damage, and he's going to be doing everything he can in these next 12 minutes to try to keep that car on track and salvage as much as he can. Down to 5th place now, but he's got 14 seconds back to Clark. He's really going to have to push to try to hold on to that. As you can see, that steering wheel's not straight. Yup, he's... Oh, that's a tough break for Place. Such a great drive all the way. 5 minutes left to go in the race. Almost coming to the last lap, and big car troubles.
Yeah. It's a dangerous looking Radical SR10, that is. I think if he spins again, he could be in jeopardy of losing it to Paul Clark, who's 6 seconds back. Guy Robinson's been and decided it would be a good idea to have an incident. Here we go. Is this steering wheel moving, or is that... No. Well, that's very bizarre.
That looks like a technical error there, and we did see Place pass by the start-finish line a minute ago. So, ooh.
And then his steering wheel just locks. So his steering wheel's moving. I've never seen this. What is going on? His steering wheel moving, right? And then it just locks in place. Whoop. And then it doesn't go anywhere.
I think the green hell here at the Nords is really starting to play tricks on us here.
Yeah,
because that is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy.
It's not moving at all. Well, that is, and then it don't. Oh, well, then it does that anyway. But
it just took a couple corners to catch up to the front wheels. That's what it looked like there. So Robertson now in the pit, trying to tow from that, and we saw Stephen Place. He passed by the pit entrance there for the last couple laps. I'm not sure if he realized he's going to have one more lap after this one. So we're going to have to watch him, because we saw him go into the wall, and he's really going to have to do everything he can to keep this thing in place. Clark now 6 seconds back, so we're going to see a battle for 5th place here coming up very shortly.
yeah, I think Clark is going to be pushing now. You know, his place has had an incident. Depends on what. Okay, well, it seems to be better than he was. That's... Yeah, it seems to be all right currently. As we see John McCutcheon in 1st place, 15 seconds in front of Kettle Larson. So there we go. Has Stephen run out of tear-offs? Get that visor cleared. Well, I don't really know, to be fair. Did they even... You can't run out of tear-offs anyway, can you? No, it's automatic. There we go. Clearing ever so slowly. David. So, yeah, what happened to you anyway? You went and stuck it in the barrier a good few times, Rollo. So, you know, was your visor dirty? Hey? JD there just put the wheel said, see ya. But that sums it up, didn't it? Because it just literally turned around and went, no, I'm not going to show you that I'm turning anymore. So very bizarre as we've got 2.5 minutes remaining here. And here comes John McHutchison in that last segment of the racetrack. Once again, before we go in to the white flag, we're going to have a look on board and just see how fast he takes this last sector here as well. Making that corner in 5th is a barnstorming thing, considering I normally end up in 4th there. 6th before he's even got down the hill. What? Blimey. No wonder I'm slow, Rob. No wonder I'm slow.
Nick Hutchinson right now is reminding me of Valtteri Bottas when they tell him not to go for the fastest lap because Mick Hutchinson is pushing this car to the limits. 45 or so minutes on these tires, and he is driving it like the lights just went out 2 minutes ago. So he is really pushing this track. Look at this track fly by. I don't even know where we're at on the track anymore. We're lost in the forest. 2 minutes left to go. He's coming down to get the final lap one more time down the long straight, and he will become a winner here as long as he can keep it on track. He's got 16 seconds back to Larson, so he's got a little bit of time that he could lose, but with the drive we've seen from McHutchinson today, I don't see him making a mistake in the last 7 minutes.
No. I think, to be fair, he is absolutely flying. We're going to have one more lap here. I'm expecting to see Barney waving. It just depends where actually Barney is on this one. I think he's at the end. Is he at the end of the pit lane or just at the beginning? He should be here on the right-hand side. No, he's going to be further down. No, he's not. He's taking the day off completely. Right, I believe that's the final lap of the race. Barney has just now decided that it's going to be a night off for Barney. He's just turned around and said, I'm not going to stand here for another 6.5 minutes waving this thing. It's all going to be done. So Barney there has turned around and said, the computer says no. But this is the last lap of the race that John McHutchison is on. And well, I think if you've been sat here watching it, you have to say that it's been absolutely dominant. I would love to see, we've got about 5 seconds between Paul Clark and Stephen Place that we know had a very dramatic lap. Has Stephen, he's been off and then into the wall and all that sorts of things. So poor old Stephen Place there. Oh, and again!
Same spot too.
Yeah.
Same curb.
What is that about? I don't... What? Same corner.
He just entered it a little early, got a little bit loose, trying to go a little fast, and gets into that curb. Same thing that happened on the lap before.
Yeah, it's confusing how he goes and does it in the same place. But now he's only got 1.3 back. And there he is. They're in the same picture. So there we go. Paul Clark and... Paul Clark and Damien G. It's not Damien G. Paul Clark and Stephen Place are in the same picture. Well, Place is lifted. It's got to have lifted. There was no way he would have given that up if he knew that that car was going to be able to make that. And Paul Clark's up into 5th. So it all unravels for Damien. Damien, what is it with Damien G? All unravels with Stephen Place there on what is deemed to be the final lap of the race. So there we go.
And if he doesn't have damage after that impact 2 laps in a row, I don't know what you're talking about, paper mache, because I believe, and it looked like Clark might have just gotten to the wall. I saw a little bit of tire smoke come from him, so I'm not sure what happened there, but I have a feeling that Place is just doing everything he can to hold on to this car right now.
Yeah, I think Paul Clark did trim the edge of the barrier because they do get very close to that, so I think that's what happened there as well. So Paul Clark did trim the barrier. Don't forget, guys, if you want to go and see a sim rig and a half, go up to iLounge Racing there as well and go and see Paul Clark's showroom. let's just call it that, of a plethora of hi-fi systems, headphones, earphones, sim rigs, all different types of sim rigs, motion sim rigs that me and Rob were talking about earlier on. He had it all. 1 monitor set up for drifting, 3 monitors set up for racing, motion sensors. He's got a mini GT40 in his showroom that people are, you can fit in. Unfortunately, if you're taller than a midget, you will see out the top of the GT40, but you can go and have a look at that as well. How many cars started the race? Only 13. Yeah, only 13, and we've lost
Damien
3.
G's having a problem. Damien G having a massive problem. LeMay gaining massive time on him. Sorry to interrupt you there, but right on the last lap, Damien G loses a couple seconds on LeMay. Not sure exactly what happened. We saw a little off track from him. And LeMay really gaining on him now. Not sure if he's got some damage there.
Oof. Ooh. That'd be why.
Definitely going to have some damage after that one.
Poor old Damien G. What has gone on with your car, sir? Oh, he's bent all over the place. Look at that. And what's worse is, if he makes that across the line, he's got to go and do another lap like that. I wouldn't want to be doing another lap at that degrees round here with Nords, to be honest. But to be fair though, Rob, if he's only got away with a bit of a 10-degree angle on the left, he's done pretty well, to be fair. Because that was huge.
That was a pretty hard impact, and that would make sense why Place is still able to hold on to his car there with the couple impacts that he made, because they were definitely not as hard as that. But maybe Damien G gets lucky. LeMay is still 1.5 back as you see him entering the picture there. LeMay does not have damage on his car, so that is going to be something. We've got 6.5 minutes or so left to go as these drivers are about to cross the start-finish line and get that white flag. And LeMay is almost still there with a second and a half. So he's got 1 lap to do it. 6 minutes and 20 seconds or 6 minutes and 50 seconds as these drivers are coming around. But you see right there, he was 8 seconds a lap faster than G because of that problem there. And he doesn't have to do much to try to catch him, especially with that car being damaged a little bit. G is really going to have to watch how he drives some of these corners as to not lose control of it.
Well, the interesting thing is, this has happened. What did you do this time, Stephen Place? You're very eventful. Oh, again. Dude. I have never seen Stephen Place get as flustered as this.
And McHutchinson's getting ready to come down that final straight, and he's going to come win this one here in just a moment. We're seeing some last-minute mistakes by some of these drivers, but Hutchinson, after a long 90 minutes, an extra lap around here, he's got to be feeling a sense of relief coming to these final 2 corners.
Yeah, he definitely is as well. I think as we're coming around to now, we're going to go under the Bilston Bridge for the very last time. There it is. There we go. What is John McHutchinson? You are not slowing down that much, surely.
Nah.
6 seconds. 5 seconds. Come on, John. You're not going to give it to him. You're not going to give it to Kettle Larson. You can't. You can just toodle across that. Where's that line? There he goes, finished. John McHutchison is your winner, but he made it interesting before he goes across the line there. No Barney waving any flags, which is very surprising, to be fair. But John McHutchison does take the victory. What is happening with Damien J. Paul LeMay? Kettle Larson comes across the line in second. David Walters, as we expect, will be in third.
A great recovery by Walters, by the way. After that mistake at the beginning of the race, he really had to drive hard to get where he's at right now. And a spectacular drive he did do coming there across the line in third position.
Kyriakopoulos is all the way just coming on to the gone past the mini carousel, and then coming on to the Dottinghoe as well. Paul Clark's not too far behind him, about 13 seconds. Place is a long way back. And of course, we've got Damien G and Michael LeMay over the backside of the circuit. You can see him at the top there of your track map. They are coming up into Lauder Links and then through into Bergwick. So, yeah, they've still got a while to go here, these two gentlemen. But Michael LeMay can now see him, which is always good, and it might push him and spur him on a little bit more to go a little bit faster. But Dennis Kyrgiakopoulos here as well. Here we go. He's going to be coming across the line in fourth as well. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. This race has been a very interesting one to sit and watch as well. And don't forget to give the video a big old thumbs up. Turn on the bells and show some love by hitting the subscribe button. That would be absolutely amazing as Dennis Kyrgiakopoulos comes across the line. Now, as we say, that line is right at the beginning of that corner. And let's see, it is literally there. So that's the line for Paul Clark. Stephen Place in a well-battered SR10. Here, managing to bring this car home somehow, Rob, I think would be the word, wouldn't it, really? I don't know how he's quite done it.
He was up to P3 at one point in this race. Had a fantastic drive. And, you know, whether it be that mental focus having a hard time, he thought he crossed the line there, and he hasn't crossed the line quite yet. I don't know if it was the mental focus or what it was that threw him off here in the last 20 minutes of the race, but he really struggled for that last 20 minutes on the end of the race, and what a drive he put down starting from the back, but still sixth place was the best he was able to do.
Yeah, it definitely was. As we see Guy Robinson coming across the line, and then we've got a couple of minutes wait for Damien G and Michael LeMay. I'll tell you what we'll do while we're doing that. We'll have a chat with Kjetil Larsen, who finished second place this evening, did lead, and then went into a pits for a very unusual pit stop. Kjetil, I've got to be honest, why did you pit?
I got a false start. So David went on a red light, and I went as well. Then I got some seconds penalty, stop and go. That's why.
Ah, so you didn't actually do anything. You just stopped and go. How long was your stop and go for?
Was it 3.1 seconds or something?
3.1 second stop and go penalty.
Yeah, but I didn't understand it either. I read at the black flag thing, 31 seconds.
Yeah.
And I just stopped and go. So I didn't understand it. So I was surprised by the penalty was finished so quick.
Yeah, because normally it's about 20, as you say, between 25 and 30 seconds, if not longer. So that's an interesting one, the fact they gave you 3.1 seconds and then went.
Yeah, I believe it was 3.1. That was said on the screen when I left the pits.
Yeah, that'd be why you only stopped for about 6 seconds all in general anyway. But that seems very bizarre. Kel, look, you know, it's been an interesting season, isn't it? It's been a long season. I'm not going to lie. It has been a very long season. So, you know, I suppose from your point of view, you got second place. Mike Bouson's not here. Daniel Sechi isn't here to battle either. So you've taken second place in the championship. So that's something to come out of this season, right?
Yeah, of course. It's my first endurance season. I'm really, really happy with the results. It's just my start this week wasn't good.
Yeah, but if you've seen David Walters go, you're going to go because you think you've missed something. So, you know, that's fully understandable. Don't worry. David, however, did jump the start by a very long, very, very early. Bless him.
Yeah, he was really early.
Yeah, really, really early. And then decided he was going to take off anyway, which I love even more. He didn't even wait. He just went, well, I've got a penalty, I'm going to go. So I think that's absolutely amazing. But, Cal, you know, it's been a great season, and I love talking to you as the season goes on. So I suppose all we got to ask then is, for the final time, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, of course, as always, my team, IGL Coatings, Sanne Trafikkskole, Elverdi, and Lasse makes some awesome setups for me, and you guys still make an awesome show, and I'm looking forward to season 2.
Awesome stuff. Well, I look forward to season 2 as well. But Kjetil, thank you so much for joining me here for the final time this season. Much love to you, and I look forward to speaking to you next season.
Yeah, same here.
Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Right, so there we go. There is Dennis Kyrgiakopoulos coming into the booth, or is he not? Oh, I can't move him anyway, so he's not. But there we go. David Waters has also put in chat, Rob, as in chat in YouTube, that he got 3 seconds. Seems a very bizarre stop and go penalty.
Yeah, I guess it's been a long time since I've done a race where I've false started, so I don't really know exactly where the penalties are. But I mean, if it is just a stop and go, that 3 seconds is just to make sure, I guess, you're fully stopped, maybe?
Yeah.
Not exactly sure how that works, but it now makes sense that Larson both took that little stop too, because when you see the front driver go, you expect to go. You're not really watching that light. The moment you see movement, you think it's time to go. Just like, in American football, you watch that center move and you move, whether he hiked the ball or not. If he moved, you go. And it just kind of caught Larson out. Luckily, he was able to overcome it with a second place position.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go, guys. That is rounding up this season. Rudolf Nagao is your Pro Championship winner. Team Radline are your Pro Team Championship. Paul LeMay is your AMS. Oh, excuse me. Paul LeMay is your AM Championship winner, and Two Brothers Racing is the AM Team Championship there as well. But guys, don't forget, we've got a lot more racing coming up this week on the JBB YouTube channel. Don't forget, later on this evening at 1:45 in the morning, which I know is very, very early, we've got the LSRL GT3 from Phillip Island with myself and Michael David. Then we've got the BSC NASCAR on Wednesday morning at 12:45 in AM there as well. And then we've got the Simability with Martinsville with very Rob there in the booth at 12:45 in the evening there as well. And then the LSRL F1 from Imola at 1:45 after that as well. So we've got a lot of action coming up. So please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bells for notifications, and give the video a thumbs up. But that's it, guys. That rounds out the Radical Endurance season from the Nürburgring here this evening. Don't forget, we are looking at restarting the season in 2 weeks' time on the 19th of March. So tune in for that one. So there we go, guys. That brings us to the end of the broadcast. As always, from myself and Rob in the booth. What do you think, Rob? One sentence before you go. What do you think of the racing?
It was incredible. These guys put on an awesome show, and McHutchinson blew it out of the park with a fantastic drive. It was really cool to see the Nordschleife in action today.
Absolutely. So there we go, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. JD in chat, Lasse Sorensen as well, George Gonzaga, Toxic Munchkin, Mike Buson, Phil across the pond, Joaquin popped in earlier on, Wario DF, hi, I like. Okay, hi, I like you too. Thank you so much for coming in there as well. And Walter Mahone, who was also popped in earlier on as well. So much love for everybody that has joined us here in chat. And that is it, guys. So for the final time this season, from myself and Rob Slider here up in the booth, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.